What's up, backyarders? Really awesome to have you join me today. I have a quick video for you. I want to show you the recipe I use to make my favorite cocktail, and it's a cocktail that I drink quite frequently. Just don't tell the doctor. Now, some of you guys are like myself. You're just absolutely whiskey lovers or bourbon lovers, and you have several different kinds. They all have different little subtleties and nuances and flavors, and sometimes you prefer one, sometimes you prefer another. But a cocktail that I really love is the old fashioned. The old fashioned, well, it's old fashioned. It was invented back in the 1800s, the early 1800s. And it's simple. It's really simple. And if it's made properly, and it has to be made properly, if it's made properly, I promise you're gonna love it. A great old fashioned starts with the whiskey or bourbon that you're using, and you can use either one. You can see I have a collection of them, and it's like I said, it's a bit of an obsession of mine. But my suggestion to you here is, well, use what you have. When you buy a more expensive, finer whiskey or bourbon, you're paying for those flavors, that process, that aging. And, it's not something you want to throw bitters and water and sugar in and dilute and, destroy the flavor. You can use the lower end whiskeys and bourbons. So this is subjective, guys. This is completely up to you. I'm going to go with the Elijah Craig. You see here I have a box of sugar cubes, and I bought those because when I first started making old fashions, that's how an old fashion's made. You take some sugar, muddle it in your cup, and don't panic, I'm gonna simplify it for you. The reason I still have this great big box is because I don't use them anymore. So it starts with the bitters, and instead of muddling this together with the sugar, I'm just gonna put these in the glass. I use some type of mixing cup because I like to get the old fashioned chilled before I put it in my serving glass. When it comes to these bitters, you can use any brand, but this is probably one of the more popular. I'm gonna use, for one drink, I'm gonna use about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The old fashioned is typically served with an orange slice, or it's garnished with an orange slice, but if I'm being honest with you, I don't have oranges laying around all the time. So the way that I get around that, a little bit of orange bitters, and I'm only gonna do about 2 or 3 dashes here. 1, 2, and it's important to measure your quantities here because you want it to taste perfect. This is a 1.5 ounce jig, so I'm gonna go ahead and now I'm gonna be honest with you, there's a line right here where it's 1.5, can you see that? For me, it's a 1 to a little less than 1 ratio, and we're talking about whiskey or bourbon to water. We used a full, it's probably 1.75 ounces of the Elijah Craig. Now I'm just gonna be just short of that 1.5 ounces with water. That was probably one of the most important things when making a perfect old fashioned, but here is the most important thing. Whenever I'm having a cocktail, it's almost always an old fashioned, and I've seen them served in so many different ways, it's crazy. However, the absolute worst way, and bartenders, if you're making your old fashioned with these, shame on you. You need to stop that mess. That is some nasty, nasty stuff right there when it comes to old fashions. These things are made for Shirley Temples and kids. They're not made for adults and old fashions, especially the old fashioned. You can just keep these in the fridge, tell the kids my kids don't even like them. They like the Shirley Temple, but you can see it. This thing's never been opened. It's probably expired. And you're like, Mike, well, I'm not paying that much money for cocktail cherries. Well, you're not gonna drink a good old fashioned. This is the magic. You have to go ahead and spend, I think you can get them from anywhere from, $12 to $20, depending on when, where, and who you're buying them from and all that. But yeah, they're expensive. I'm not gonna lie to you. However, you don't use that many and you get a lot. And I usually use 1 per cocktail if I'm mixing up a batch where I'm doing, I usually do 2 to 3 cocktails in an evening. Then I'll put 2 to 3 in the mix, and I'll put 1 in each glass that I serve. This is the magic, guys. That's what cocktail cherries should look like. Go to Amazon and buy some right now, and don't make your old fashioned until you get them. Trust me. Dive in there, get a cherry, and make sure you get a spoonful of that syrup. That's the magic. Now, instead of sugar, healthier, better option, quicker. Just a splash. Now we're gonna put about 2 to 3 ice cubes in here. Just gonna give that a stir. Stir it for about 30 seconds. Now you have to use the right ice cube. Now I can hear some of you now My ice cube's not that clear. That's right, I just used a regular mold, bought it off Amazon, but it gives me that nice square shape, which is perfect for an old-fashioned. Here's the cherries. Now it's time to take it up a level. Got this guy on Amazon, and there's all kinds of different brands. I like this one. And it's just a kind of a wood shaped thing here that has a screen. And let me show you what we do with that. You can get all kinds of different flavored wood chips for this. Maple is pretty popular, but personally, we're gonna go with some sweet Texas mesquite. And if this ain't the biggest ripoff in the world, I don't know what is, but they just literally take wood shavings and sell them. I'm just gonna put a little dash in there. Now a little pro tip here, if your ice cube is directly underneath, you're not gonna get as much smoke. And just let that smoke kind of penetrate the alcohol. The smokiness, the sweetness from the cherries, and that incredible whiskey flavor. The perfect cocktail. Make sure you try yourself a smoked old fashioned.